In today's video, I want to explore Ken Leth's near-death experience that he had when he was 8 years old. During his NDE, he said he was shown the future that included everything from JFK's assassination, Trump being elected, devastating natural disasters, and even an upcoming civil war. Remember as you're watching this that this was originally uploaded October 18th, 2020, almost 3 months before the January 6th attack at the Capitol. Let's get started.
After I went through my life review, an entity that I called Mother took me to other places when I was up in heaven. It looked like a huge room, but there was like a large globe of the earth. It was like a model sitting up on a pedestal. It was like a machine, and it was very intricate. And there were a couple smaller entities standing around it like they maintained it. And I was introduced to one of them. She was like a teacher. So I call her the teacher entity. And then I was brought there by another entity that I call Mother. So Mother pretty much handed me off to the teacher entity, and she was explaining this globe. And that's when they told me that the globe pretty much acts like a time capsule where every event on Earth is recorded and kept. So I was shown a little bit of the past because I was curious about it. And it's so hard to explain. I felt like I was a bird flying through the air, hovering over an ancient city, and I saw a city that looked like someplace like Rome. So I told the teacher entity, I can't really relate to this. I'm sorry. I've read about this in the history books, but this doesn't interest me. What else can you show me in this globe? Then I got to thinking, well, I'd like to see where I fit in. Where do I fit into the big picture? So the teacher entity said, well, here's where you were born. And she just pointed down onto the earth, and it looked like the geographical area where I was born. And all of a sudden, a vision opened up. And again, it was like I was flying around like a bird, viewing stuff going on down on the planet. And then all of a sudden, I was down on the ground, and I saw a line of cars driving very fast through a city. People were cheering and waving and happy. And then suddenly something happened, and it was bad, and I knew it. I didn't see the specific gunshots. I didn't see President Kennedy getting shot, actually, but I knew he was hurt. And I saw the cars suddenly zoom off very fast. And there was a lot of turmoil, and then people were crying, and I knew that he was hurt. That's when they explained to me that JFK died. I asked, why would God let this happen? If he knows it's going to happen in advance, why doesn't he stop it? And I was pretty much told that it was going to happen because humanity makes choices sometimes that are wrong, and they can't interfere. I guess that's a confirmation of we have free will. I was told that the next visions after that would happen later in my life. And it started with a picture of a government building, and it looks like the Supreme Court. The ruling they passed making it okay for same-sex marriage, I believe, and that would have happened around 2015. I believe that's what they were talking about. I wasn't told that specifically. I was told toward the end of your life, there will be a ruling here, and they showed me the building that is significant. And it will be the beginning of great turmoil in your country. And I believe it was the same-sex marriage thing. Who was the most angry about it? Evangelicals. And I saw Hillary, I'm positive it was Hillary because I heard her voice, speaking to people, and she was campaigning for president. I was also told that she would be there with another person that was like a president, so I'm pretty sure that was Bill. So I turned to the teacher entity and I said something like, well, she seems all right. I'm surprised a woman is running for president, but she seems all right. And I was told, yes, but she may not be allowed to be the president. And I was surprised, and I asked why. I was told because there's laws that are probably going to interfere. And that was it with Hillary. So I saw a brief vision. It looked like the Senate, but I'm not positive. It looked like Congress anyway. There was some hearings going on there, and it was very intense. Next, I was shown a very angry, mean-spirited president, and I saw that he had blonde hair. I can't tell you that I saw his face or that I remember it. I do remember the blonde hair. And I remember the man being very angry and shouting at people. And then I saw demonstrations in the street. Then I saw Trump, or this angry president, in the Oval Office, nervous, walking around his desk, walking out into the hall, expecting a visitor, walking back, standing behind his desk, very nervous. Then the next vision, there was a skip, and then the next vision I saw was Trump on the front steps of a building in Washington, D.C., and he was very angry, and he was shaking his fist, and he was getting a crowd excited, and he was asking them to fight. So I asked the teacher entity, how did this man become our president? And why is he so angry? Then they showed me a vision of the Bible. It's like the pages were flipping, and then I saw like a line, like a flow chart going down through the pages. And then sometimes it would stop and divide, and then more lines would be created. And I understood this to be the path that humanity would take. I saw the line jump out of the Bible and highlight churches developing in old Europe. And then once those churches were developed, I saw them, their morals, their protocols, the things they established, their beliefs, came over to America with the migration of people. Then I saw the line of progression come out of the Bible again, and it shot out of the Bible and it landed in the American Southeast, the deep South of America. Then I saw churches growing and developing there, big churches, fabulous churches, complexes. I guess you could say schools too, because there was teaching going on, large buildings, lots of people participating. And I was told that these new churches would be very evil and that they would have a lot to do with the election of this angry president. To be more specific, they were telling people who to vote for in the name of God. And I knew that to be a horrible sin. So I was warned to stay away from those churches, to not pay any attention to them and stay away. So I have. And intermingled with all these visions, I saw people demonstrating and marching and doing things in the streets. I did see African Americans demonstrating in the streets, and I didn't understand why they were so upset. That's when the Civil War was mentioned. And I said something about, well, they were supposed to be free. The Civil War I learned about in school, they were supposed to be free. And I was told, but they're not. And that's why they're demonstrating. At the time that I brought up that I knew about the first Civil War, they told me another Civil War is coming and it's going to be much worse than the first. So let's put it this way to the African American, the black people that are watching this, God knows what you're going through. Okay? You're not alone. Next, I saw intermingled with demonstrations in the street. I saw people that I describe as they're black entities, but they're not the race. They're not the people. They're people with dark hearts, empty hearts. They were like black spirits, and they came across to me as not being American, not being true Americans, or not believing like good Americans. They were there to cause trouble within the demonstrations. They were encouraging people to get angry and to fight, and they were trying to get the crowds riled up. So I've said in the past, and I say it again, do not listen to them. If they are there to get you angry and frustrated, avoid them. Anger is a choice. You don't have to be angry if you don't want to. You can open up your heart instead. And then the next major vision I saw was a group of angry entities circling a building in a major city trying to get inside, and they were acting covert, undercover. They get inside, they go inside, and they go up a few floors, and then there's an explosion. And I asked, what's the significance of this building? What is going on here? Why did they blow it up? I was told that it was a center of communication, a place that people relied on for information. And I got the strong impression that it could be tied to the internet, but I got the strong impression that it was TV studio. I can't say CNN, but the way things look, I don't know. It could be CNN. They have a tower, and it's in a major city in Atlanta. So I hope it isn't true. I hope it doesn't happen. So I hope they take care. I hope they protect themselves. After that, that's about when I saw an army building and growing in the West. And I don't know who they are, who they represent. I wasn't told. But I saw them fighting and pushing from the west toward the east. I saw the army moving, and it looked like the Mississippi River was important. So it was like a dividing line, and it is a natural dividing line geographically. So then I saw fighting just go totally out of control. I saw fighting everywhere, and it was severe enough that I turned away. I just couldn't stand to watch it. Eventually, the army from the west will win, and the fighting will eventually end. The army uncovers things. There's like another building or a group of people or something way down deep in the south. And if I was to guess where it was geographically, I'm thinking Louisiana, Arkansas, down in there. I saw it was like another large building, and it was like a government building because it was fortified. And I saw people fighting and demonstrating around that, and eventually the building is overcome. But what's uncovered inside that building is tremendously evil. It looked like a ghost of some kind rising up out of this building because it was finally destroyed. The best word I can come up with is a demon, an agent of Satan. And it was there to promote anger and fighting and misinformation. And it was very powerful. And when it was finally destroyed, as it rose up out of that building and flew away, it was laughing. It was delighted. It's like when the army from the West finally gets inside that building and puts an end to what they're doing. It's going to be a relief. It's going to be a great relief. And then all kinds of evil will be uncovered. And then people will finally realize they were fighting for the wrong reasons. They were lied to. A lot of people are believing a lot of wrong things, and that's what's going to elevate the fighting and the aggravation. There was a time when the teacher entity stopped the flow of events, like 3 different times. And she asked me, well, she showed me what I would look like as an adult while this was going on. And I have to tell you, I look like that guy right now. I believe I'm in the house where I'm going to pass away. I saw myself in a basement of sorts, and there were other people with me, and I looked very skinny, and that's not me right now. But we were looking outside like things are really terrible outside, and we were hiding. And then I saw myself like in a very big tent with a lot of sick people, and that's where I passed away. I don't think I'll see the end of the war. Okay? And I'm 65. I'm fairly healthy. I could live to be 80. Who knows? So if that helps anybody as far as your need to know a timeline, that's the best I can tell you. But again, some aggravation and strife and fighting begins again. Then I saw this huge, tremendous explosion, and it looked like an atomic bomb because of the mushroom cloud. It looked like it was around the corner of Wyoming, perhaps in Montana. So I'm thinking Yellowstone is about where I saw the explosion take place. At the base, I saw a ring of white, just like a pebble dropping in the water, where it creates a wave that comes out from the drop. That's what it looked like, and it was a ring of white, and it expanded across the entire continent. I believe there could be in the middle of all this a natural disaster like a serious earthquake, because I saw flooding. It looked like it was between Iowa and Nebraska, which would be like around the Omaha area, maybe a little bit further north. I saw a lot of people drowning all at once, just completely overwhelmed with water. And the only way I can think that would happen would be like a flood caused by an earthquake. I saw people being swarmed by water and leaping and jumping out of their bodies, just terrified and not understanding why this is happening to them. And there's nothing they can do. They all die at once. So that's not a very happy vision. Then what I saw was absolute peace and quiet and no movement whatsoever. And then I saw trees growing and getting thick again. And I saw the planet, or the continent, I should say, starting to become green again and beautiful. Then I was shown people living, and it looked like they were very far in the southeast, maybe along the coast, perhaps Georgia, maybe the Carolinas. They looked like natives. They were very peaceful and loving, happy people, and I could feel the happiness coming from them. And that's when the teacher entity turned to me and said, "So you see, Ken, there is going to be a cycle happening here. When all the fighting and the anger and the destruction is over and everything starts to grow again, people will be living more with God's purpose. They will be happier. They will be more spiritual, and things will be set right." It was described to me, it felt like a cleansing, is what it felt like. So it's like humanity, the way it feels to me is humanity, we're right on the cusp of expanding spiritually to the next level. That old standard of competition between churches, between governments, between races of people, and then using those justifications to fight wars or to compete economically and to cause other groups of people hardship. I look at it like those times are ending. Humanity has been in this cycle for a long, long time. We can go in the history books and we can tell you, we can understand. That's always been the model. We fear people who aren't like us. We end up fighting. People die endlessly, or needlessly, I should say. And then we're prosperous, they're not. Oh, so bad, so sad. Those times are coming to an end. That's what it feels like to me. I believe those people that I was shown, they also will have enhanced power and skill. We were built in God's image. Jesus came here. He was human, but he was also a God. He could do miracles. I believe the next step is we will be able to do miracles too, through the power of God, through the Creator. That's what I believe. If we choose peace and happiness instead of anger and frustration and destruction, we're going to be a lot better off. And who knows, maybe we can avoid the war. Wouldn't that be wonderful?
If you'd like to hear